Maple Ridge, Minnesota, wasn't the kind of town that ended up in headlines. With barely 5,000 people, 2 traffic lights, and a single main street, the town's biggest concerns were Friday night football games, winter storms, and who would host the annual summer fair. For decades, Maple Ridge had lived in its own bubble, quiet, predictable, almost boring. People left their front doors unlocked. Teenagers biked home after midnight. Everyone knew everyone's parents, grandparents, and even their dogs. Fear simply didn't exist there. That changed on October 12, 2005. It changed the moment 17-year-old Sarah Whitfield disappeared on her walk home from school. From that night forward, Maple Ridge never slept again. Sarah was the kind of girl everyone assumed would escape Maple Ridge someday. Smart, responsible, artistic. The kind of teen whose future seemed too big for a small town. She was the firstborn, a role model to her younger brother, Michael. A straight-A student. Captain of the art club. Known for walking around with sketchbooks filled with drawings of trees, people, and her dream cities, places she imagined living in someday. Her mother, Linda, once said, "Sarah was always running ahead of life. Always planning." She was the kind of child who seemed like she already knew the world had something waiting for her. On October 12, Sarah had stayed after school to help with decorations for the fall festival. She left school at 4:52 p.m., wearing a green sweater, jeans, and carrying her brown art backpack. Witnesses say she waved goodbye to her friends, started her usual walk home, and turned onto Redfield Road. She never made it home. The last confirmed person to see Sarah alive was Mrs. Patterson, a retired history teacher who lived along Redfield Road. According to her statement, "She walked past my house just before 5 o'clock. She waved. I waved back. Nothing looked wrong. Nothing at all. It was normal. Too normal. Nobody heard a scream. Nobody heard a struggle. Nobody saw a suspicious vehicle. Sarah simply walked down the road and vanished as if the earth itself swallowed her." When Sarah didn't show up for dinner, her parents weren't worried at first. She often stayed after school or visited her best friend, Tina. But at 6:30 p.m., her mother called Tina's house. No one had seen her since she left school. By 7 p.m., panic had begun to creep in. By 7:20 p.m., neighbors were out with flashlights. By 9:00 p.m., the mayor authorized a full community search. The entire town showed up, teachers, farmers, shop owners, even the elderly who could barely walk. Street by street, they combed through the woods, ditches, backyards, abandoned barns, and every inch of Redfield Road. State police arrived by midnight. The FBI arrived the next morning. Yet, they found nothing. No footprints. No blood. No torn clothing. Not even tire tracks. It was like she walked into thin air. For 4 days, the search brought no answers until a hunter came forward with something unusual. On October 15, a hunter named Dean Wilcox reported seeing a brown art backpack deeper in the woods, about 3 miles from Redfield Road. Inside the bag were Sarah's sketchbook, her pencil case, a water bottle, a bracelet her best friend gave her, and her phone, dead and covered in dirt. But here's the strange part. There were no signs the bag had been dropped in a struggle. It looked placed. Almost gently. And even stranger. Sarah had never been known to go into those woods. Ever. Investigators believed someone left it there to mislead the search. The feel of the investigation shifted instantly. What had looked like a missing persons case now looked like an abduction. But they still had no suspect. Every small town has secrets. Maple Ridge was no different. First suspect, Daniel Brooks. Sarah's quiet neighbor. A 28-year-old mechanic who lived alone. He had a prior charge for trespassing years earlier. The police questioned him for hours. His alibi? He had been working late. But several neighbors reported seeing his truck moving around near the woods that night. Yet no physical evidence tied him. Second suspect, Coach Randall. The football coach known for his strictness. Sarah had argued with him 2 days before her disappearance over the use of the art room. Some students claimed he had a temper. Others said he wouldn't harm anyone. He cooperated fully with police. He passed a polygraph. Still, his name stayed on the list. Third suspect, a stranger in a blue sedan. Multiple residents reported seeing an unfamiliar blue four-door sedan driving slowly near Redfield Road the week before Sarah's disappearance. No one got the license plate. No one knew who it belonged to. The car was never seen again. Weeks passed. Then months. Posters of Sarah covered every shop window. Candlelight vigils were held almost weekly. Parents stopped letting their children walk home from school. People installed locks, alarms, fences, things Maple Ridge never needed before. The town's innocence died that fall. But the case did not go cold. Investigators kept digging. And in January 2006, the biggest break came from the most unexpected person. Sarah's younger brother, Michael, who was only 14 at the time, refused to stop searching. Every weekend, even in the Minnesota winter, he went into the woods with his friends, determined to find something, anything, that could explain what happened. On January 22, Michael found something investigators had missed. A broken silver necklace with a tiny initial charm. S.W. Sarah's initials. It was found near a large fallen tree, partially buried under snow. But here's the twist. The necklace wasn't broken by force. The clasp had been cut cleanly. This wasn't an accident. Someone wanted the necklace gone. Someone had been in those woods after the searches began. Someone had returned. Detectives re-examined all the evidence and found a pattern they had missed. The backpack was placed too neatly. The necklace was deliberately cut. No sign of a struggle anywhere. Sarah's phone had zero activity after 5:01 p.m. And there were no footprints near the backpack despite soft ground. The lead FBI investigator, Agent Travis Monroe, said, "This person was meticulous. They knew the area. They planned this." Which led them to a chilling conclusion. The abductor was someone local. Someone who knew the woods better than anyone. Someone who knew the search patterns. Someone confident they could hide her forever. And the list of suspects suddenly narrowed dramatically. In the spring of 2006, 7 months after Sarah disappeared, the case finally broke open. A woman named Carla Jennings, who lived 2 towns away, was arrested on unrelated burglary charges. During questioning, she told detectives something shocking. "I know who took that Maple Ridge girl." She claimed her former boyfriend, Daniel Brooks, had once bragged that the woods behind Maple Ridge were the best place to make someone disappear. Police had nothing to tie Daniel to the crime. Until Carla revealed something only the abductor could have known. He kept talking about a fallen tree. Said it was the landmark where no one would look. The same area where Michael found Sarah's necklace. A search warrant was granted immediately. When investigators surrounded Daniel's property, they expected to find evidence, tools, clothing, something. What they found instead was far more disturbing. In Daniel's basement was a small room, almost a bunker, filled with survival gear, old newspapers about missing persons, a map of Maple Ridge, and a large circled area, the exact section of the woods where the backpack and necklace were found. But they still found no body. No blood. No trace of Sarah herself. Daniel claimed innocence to the very end, saying, "You can't arrest me for a crime you can't prove." He was right. He was released due to lack of concrete evidence. But Maple Ridge was now terrified of him. And the detectives were more convinced than ever. They were dealing with someone who planned the perfect disappearance. For years, the case went cold. People moved on. New families came to Maple Ridge, unaware of its darkest chapter. The woods grew thicker. Time did what it always does, buried things. But the town never forgot. Maple Ridge never slept. And then, in 2025, everything changed. A construction crew clearing land for a new housing development found a hidden underground storm shelter, a structure not listed on any town map. Inside the shelter were blankets, water bottles, old food wrappers, a small lamp, and on the floor, under layers of dust, Sarah's green sweater, perfectly preserved. Next to the sweater was a rusted metal tin. Inside the tin was a single item: Sarah's sketchbook, her final drawings. And the last page had only 2 words: I tried. Forensic dating suggested Sarah had been alive for days, possibly weeks, after her disappearance. The shelter showed signs of being used around 2005 to 2006, then abandoned. Investigators now believe Sarah was taken by someone familiar with the woods. She was held in the underground shelter. She may have escaped or attempted to escape. Something happened before she could reach safety. Her remains likely lie somewhere within the vast forest land that has changed drastically over 20 years. Although her body has still not been found, the shelter discovery officially reclassified the case from missing to abduction homicide. Daniel Brooks was rearrested in 2025. The case is ongoing. Maple Ridge isn't the same town it was in 2005. People lock their doors now. Kids don't walk home alone. Redfield Road has streetlights and warning signs. The woods that once seemed beautiful now carry a dark echo. For 20 years, the town lived in fear, suspicion, and unanswered questions. And even with the new discovery, the deepest question remains: what really happened to Sarah Whitfield? Some believe she died in the shelter. Some think she escaped and died in the woods. Others whisper that the person responsible still lives quietly among them. But one thing is certain: Maple Ridge will never sleep peacefully again.